So records brings another type with which you can declare your classes in Java 14. So it was introduced as a preview language feature in 14, and in 15 it is in the second preview with a couple of modifications. So why do you need records in Java? So this is my favorite example. Imagine you go to a shopping mall and you have to buy trousers for yourself. And what you see is that all the trousers are all of the same size. So you've gone to the mall to buy the trousers, you have to buy one. But what happens? So depending on your size, it could be big, it could be tight, or it could be small. And if you're lucky enough, that could fit perfectly. What do you do if it doesn't fit? You alter them. And this is what we developers have been doing with classes in Java. Even though, let's say, we have to serialize some data to a file database, send it over to a network, we have been using the regular classes, and we have been modifying it, adding a lot of getters, setters, constructors, blah blah blah, to make it work the way we want it to. Not anymore. Java has records that lets you model data as data. So let me go to one of the examples and show how you can. Okay, so let's talk about a class. Let's say this is a simple class where I have a method where I say write to file. I have another method which is read from file. And these two methods are your regular methods, which are trying to write an object to a text file, and then they're going to read it. So let's say, how can you store and retrieve details of a person, say just the basic details like name and age? Let me do that by defining, let's say, a class. I say the name of my class is person, and since I have to define name, okay, I say age, and these are the values that I want to encapsulate for my class person, and I want to serialize them. As good Java programmers, we've already told a lot of times that these should be private, grade, and final as well, right? Yes. Okay. Okay. So final will have to have their constructor. So let's say I want to add a constructor. Okay. Now, what do? I need to add some getters and setters as well. I insert getter. Okay. Okay, so this is final. So I cannot have setters, which is perfect. So I have the getters and setters. Now what do? I must implement the equals and the hash code. Otherwise, if I try to add this class to a collection class, I might not be able to retrieve it because equals and hash codes are used by the collection classes to find out whether the two instance values are same. I'm not talking about comparing the references. So let me insert the equals and the hash code methods to it. Let me, okay, so this is alt down. Now, just one method is remaining, which is the toString method. Right. So what is happening here is I have defined a couple of methods for my class person because I wanted to write it to a text file. I might also use it to as keys for my collection classes. The IDE was good enough. I could generate a lot of methods in minimal time, which is good. But what happens? You read the code once, but you write the code once, but you read it a lot more times. So there is no provision here for any other developer who would be reading this class to know that this is just a carrier or a wrapper of data. And they would still have to wade through all these lines of code to figure out if this is just a data class, or are they also talking about any other business logic. So what can we do? So let's get rid of the person class. And so let me go here and I say I deleted. So I'm back to my class here. Now I say I want to insert not a regular class. I want to not create a regular class, but a record. And I want to say the name of the record is person. I say string name and int age. And this is exactly what I did with my previous class. And all the setters, the constructors, hash code, equals, toStrings, all the methods would be generated by the Java compiler, not by the IDE. Now the language is doing the heavy lifting for you. And it's not leaving for you, the developers, to do it, for us, the developers, to do it. So let's see if how I could use this in this class. Okay, so I say person, I say person is equal to new person, and sorry, and I pass the name as Java, and I say the age is 25. Yes, Java is 25 in 2020. Now I could say write to file, and I could pass this person object, and let's say so I already have a text file in the same directory, and what was the name of the file? I think it's temp.txt, and let me read this file. I say print read from file. Just pass it the name, the path to the file, which is, I hope I'm doing that right. Let's see. So let me run this read write. Why? Uh, okay, so let me do it from here. So let me execute it and let me see if I could read and write the instance of record that I just created. What's happening? I am using the EAP version, which, right? Okay. Oh, right. So we have an error, which is, okay, I don't want to do that. Non-serializable. Okay, so let me go back to my class and let me say that it implements serializable, not Stack Overflow. Serializable, right. So now let me go and let's say if this works now. Right. I hope it works. Yes, it should. Why is this so slow? Am I running anything else? Ah, okay. So probably because of the screen sharing with the Zoom webinar. Now you can see that this works. So with the records, I can instantiate a record using the same old calling of the constructor that I'm used to with all my classes. I can write it to a file. I can make it implement interfaces. What else can I show you about? Okay, so we talked about, yes. So can you add fields to it? Yes and no. You can add static fields. I could say static int counter is equal to 0. So this is allowed, but I cannot say static int, int, let's say address, not int address, that should be string address. So this is not allowed because we are trying to create a record where the state of the record is encapsulated by the these values that you passed, the components of the record. And if I try to define another instance variable or field here, that is kind of beating the whole purpose of defining the record the way it is. So this is not allowed. But I can, of course, create instance methods and static methods. I could say static int get counter, and then I could say return counter. So this is allowed. I could also say int get. Why am I typing address as int? This is insane. I could say return, or then I say, okay, let's say Java. I don't, I'm not able to think of anything else now. So instance method is allowed, but not an instance field, of course. But you really have to make sure that any instance method that you add to your record is, do you really need it? Because the whole point of having the data classes is to encapsulate your data and not really make it as your business class and have a lot of logic there. You just want to keep it to being a wrapper of data. Of course, if you want to have some instance method that really work on that, you are good to go. So let's talk about what do we, oh yes. So let me show you the decompiled version that I have here. So this is Java 14, and where do we go from here? Okay, Java 14, and yes. So this is the class person. Am I doing it right? No. Why is this so? This is funny because I'm using the latest EAP version, which is 2020.3, which I downloaded yesterday, no, day before yesterday. I should not have been using it. Um, I'm sorry because this is not showing the other methods, which is implemented by the record. So if you go back, so let me file that as a bug report. Okay. So I really can't show that part to you now, which is okay. Let me go back to, right. Yes, you can create generic records. So let me quickly create a record which is generic. Let me pull out my example as well. Right. So I could create a generic record. I can say control home, control insert, and I want a Java class, which is of type record. I say the name of my record is parcel. And okay, so now this is the generic parameter. Then I say contents, and let me say the parcel has a weight. Okay, what else can I do? Let me create a class table so that I can just show how you would kind of instantiate this. So let me say main, and then I say parcel. Um, I pass it table, then I say parcel is equal to new parcel, and I say this is new table, right? And the weight could be, let's say, could be anything. Why am I thinking so much about it? Yes, so this is how you can define a generic record where I have the generic parameter defined here. And of course, I'm using it here, and I'm instantiating this generic record. Yes, it's a record, as you can see here. And I can also add annotations to the components of a record. I could say this is not null, and I could do that as well. So what else can I show you? Presentation records. I think we have done pretty much this one. And starting with, so yes, let me go back to person. Okay, so what can I do here? Let me go to person, and yes, so since I mentioned I'm using the latest version of IntelliJ IDEA, which is 2020.3, still in the early access version, which is the EAP, I can also convert record to a class. So this is how I can do that, because this could come in handy if you are trying to move back to a Java version which doesn't support records, because records is still in as a preview language feature. And the other point about the preview language features are they might be added to the language in a future version as a standard language feature without modification, or depending on the feedback which is received on them, they could be dropped altogether. So you're not sure how they pan out. So probably you are excited about using records, but you really can't use it with the version that you're using with production or any other project. You can go back and define it as a regular class. And one more thing regarding the preview. So a lot of people ask me, are there any number of cycles through which a language feature has to go through before it is added to the Java language as a standard feature? No, Oracle doesn't define any fixed number of iterations for a feature. It could be two, it could be three, depending on how the feature is working, how they are receiving feedback from the developers. Okay, so I think we are done with yes, there is one more thing which was added to Java 15. Now, so what I was talking about, everything we had about records was in Java 14. And in Java 15, you could also define a private or not private, a local record. And apart from that, you can also define local interfaces and local enums, which was not allowed until now. And why would you like to do so? It is again like you define your local class, you encapsulate a set of data, and then you might work on that data instead of just kind of working or taking it as individual variables or fields.